everyone, welcome back to Silver Lake Honey channel. It is first week in July and we have a beautiful weather today. It's gonna be around 80 degrees today. June was pretty dry and we had a drought, but this first week in July we had some rain and bees are bringing in nectar. Some of the things to pay attention in July is to have room for the bees, to add plenty of supers so that they don't run out of space. Adding honey super on time is really a crucial thing. Another thing to pay attention in July is to have hives clear of grass and weeds, and I like to use these grass mats that I don't have to mow all the time around my beehives. But I do have beehives on the fields that I kind of mow and then move it with my forks, with my tractor, so they stay out of weeds. So July is really a busy time for bees, and you're gonna see a lot of activities in front of your hives. Make sure when you have really hot and humid weather, and you'll see bees bearding in front of the hives. Today is really nice and it's not really hot and humid, so we don't have any bearding or washboarding going on. But you can open some extra entrances and provide them more ventilation for the hives, but at the same time kind of pay attention to robbing, because robbing can be a big problem, especially when there's nectar dirt going on. Then if they don't have nothing coming in from the nature, they can start robbing each other, and that can be a huge problem. Another thing to pay really close attention, next to your checking your queen, finding eggs and make sure the queen is laying good, and replacing the spotty brood queens, because not only you're gonna have better winter bees that they produce, but also probably a greater chance that they will survive the winter and you'll have better spring development with the young and prolific queens. Another thing to pay attention is varroa mites. So July and August is the peak season for mites, and it can devastate the hive. So pay close attention to the mites, take the mite levels and treat accordingly. So I like to remove all my honey first week of August and treat as soon as possible. So at that time I'll do a mite check and see what kind of treatment I'm going to do. But controlling varroa mites is the most important thing to do in preparation for overwintering. Okay, so let's take a look at the one hive and see how they're doing, how they're capping the nectar that they're bringing in. We're collecting also some pollen for their own use, and we don't have these holes, we don't have the tubes that so it's just they can choose between the entrances, and we're letting them keep most of the pollen and just collect a little bit, so we save it and feed when they need it in the spring. Configuration that I like to have two brood boxes for bees, and then the third is always a deep honey super, and then all above that is the mediums. So we have added this top box recently, last week, and they have here is open nectar. They didn't cap any yet on this top box. And we have 1, 2, 5, 6 frames that they filled. So we're gonna add in a second box. So we're gonna wait a little bit more, but looks like they're getting there. Okay, like I said, our configuration is the first 2 boxes are for the bees, for the brood and their honey storage for the winter. And the third box is also a deep that we like to have as honey super for us. And in the honey supers, I like to run 9 frames to get this extra wide thick frames. See, even in the third box, the queen is laying with the nice, this would be a nice winter frame with the honey dome above the brood. So I like to have frames like this for our winter configuration. As you can see, I don't wear any protection, and bees are really gentle and nice. When they have a flow, you know, something coming in, that usually they don't bother nobody. You know, they're really gentle, and you can see, you know, when putting your hands on top of the frames and touching the bees, they don't even care that you're there. So that's another sign that you have flow going on. Queen is laying really nice. Starting to cap slowly, you know, this nectar. So in our weekly check, I like to find out if we have eggs, how's the brood pattern, is the queen laying, they're bringing in nectar, everything is checked, you know, about 7 to 10 days. Smell it, it smells amazingly. I'll just open it. We do have some capped. Yeah, really nice capped honey. So put everything back, and okay guys, so that should be all. So we're keeping close attention to our bees, giving them room for expansion, checking our queen weekly to see if she's laying her pattern is good. She's got eggs. And taking care, kind of maintenance, cleaning our yard and grass around our hives, and preparing for the end of the season for overwintering. It's going to be interesting. This year, nectar flow and honey is not as good as, for example, last year was a lot better. But still, you know, we're making progress. We're making honey, and we're happy with that. The smell of dirty socks in a bee yard. I love it. So it means that bees are still bringing in something inside the hive, and they're curing the goldenrod. And also you can see a lot of bees on aster. So you can see that bees are still bringing in pollen, and they're very active today. It is the first week of October. Things are really quieting down. Fall is in full swing. Cold nights are coming. This is actually the last day that we have 70+ weather. It's beautiful today, but tomorrow is supposed to be around upper 50s. So low 60s are in the forecast for the whole next week. It's windy and bees are flying everywhere, and I enjoy it. Hopefully we prepared our bees for the winter. First week of August we removed all the honey. Bees are treated for varroa mites. If some hives were light, we fed some hives sugar syrup, and they're ready for the winter. So I don't like to open the hives this time of the year to damage the, I call it, bridge between the frames. So between the top of the bottom box frames and the bottom of the top box. So they build between those two frames. They cover it with wax, and so they can easily cross that and avoid the dead space between the frames. So in this time of the year, when you remove the frames, you crack, you break that wax, and they have to reseal that again. So that's why I try to leave them alone. I don't like to remove frames, but for just demonstration purpose, today we're gonna go through the hive and see the food positioning, and if they have honey domes above their nests, above their clusters, how does the food look like, and in the hive, in general, how does it look like. See, so you can see when you lift this, you can see that they sealed all this with propolis, all these edges, and on top of the frames. Do not ever remove this propolis from the top of the frames. You can see it right here. That's like their protection from the viruses and from everything. They glue with propolis, which is really healthy for humans too. I mean, we use it a lot, and we make propolis tinctures and drops and all kinds of salves. It really helps. And you can check like medicinal properties of propolis. It's another product that if you're not using, you should definitely think about adding to your one of your products, either for you to use it as a beekeeper or to sell it to your customers. It's like you can see it like a bee glue. They glue everything with it, and I don't ever want to remove this, you know, from top of the frames in this time of the year. I like to leave this, you know, for them. I do use, when I collect my own propolis, I use propolis traps that go also on top of the frames and have holes that that are larger than bee space, and bees cover that, and I remove the traps, put it in freezer, and that propolis hardens like candy, so you can remove it easier. But this stuff, leave it for bees. If you're here, you would really smell like that smell, like kind of like rotten eggs or dirty socks. It's kind of that aster and goldenrod, you know, curing. So that's their last nectar they're gonna get. And also they got pollen. You can still see on their legs that they're bringing in pollen. Like I said, I don't really like removing the frames, and we're not gonna go through the hive, you know, to check everything. Just want to give you an idea how they look like this time of the year. And you can see on this frame, like very heavy frame, full. And you can smell it. I wish you can smell it. It's like a full of capped honey and nectar that are curing. So every single frame is full. See, this one is full. And when we go this way, this one is also full. See, here we used to have brood right here, but now queen is reducing her laying, and now we have nectar. You see that the nectar right here. It's all nectar, and they are gonna cap it. That's why we can smell this smell, because they're curing this nectar. So this is how bees should look like right now in October. If you don't see this, it means that you didn't do something right. And what we don't do right in August and September, we can still correct now. You see, this also was brood, and now it's full on nectar. Full on nectar and capped. We can still do some minor corrections right now, but it's more, I mean, it's almost kind of late, you know. If you try to do like your varroa mite treatments, feeding, you know, you should be done with feeding right now. And they just, because these bees now are winter bees, they are long-living bees, and you don't want to you want to do everything with summer bees, you know, treat them and have them cure that, bring that nectar, convert that sugar water into, you know, whatever, you know, to the food that they're using. You don't want to affect these winter bees to do that. So you want them to just to survive the winter. So you can see that they're full of honey, you know, packed. Every single frame is packed of honey. So let's check the bottom box and see what's going on the bottom. See, this is all pollen. We have pollen. It's like whole frame of pollen and a little bit of honey. It's our second frame. Our first frame, it's very heavy, full of pollen and honey. This is pollen and nectar. So in this frame we have larvae and eggs all on this frame, and we have the nectar on the sides. You can see the queen is really reducing her laying. The brood pattern is really small. Okay guys, sorry, this part of the video I lost my audio, my batteries went dead. Wanted to show you bottom box. The queen is reducing really her cluster and her laying. We have the frames in the middle of the box. As you can see, the brood is really small, and you can actually see the queen. She's this year's queen. Really young, prolific, and nice queen, and she does a really good job. I like the queens that this time of the year are reducing the cluster. Worker bees fill the brood nest with food and properly placed food around the winter cluster. As you saw on the top box, it's full of honey, but there's still space where queen will lay just a little bit of brood in the middle of the top box, and most of the brood is going to be on the bottom box. So the actual winter cluster, I like to occupy both boxes without having the dead space in the middle between the boxes. And because bees feed up, whenever they move, they will have enough food as their winter stores. So basically what we can see now is that this particular beehive has plenty of food. We didn't feed this hive. This is all they're collected by themselves. I don't feed every hive like some other beekeepers do, that just feed all their hives, in their bee yards and bringing them up to weight. I specifically find a hive that needs some help and feed them in August or September. I monitor and see. So if you take care of mites on time in early April, that's when I do it. If they have enough food properly placed above the winter cluster, I think it's a waste of time to feed the hives that don't need feeding. Also, if you have young queen, you took care of mites, and they have plenty of food. So those three things will be what's really necessary as far as us as beekeepers to do on time, and to really pay really close attention to. Other everything else, it's out of our control. So, but make sure those three things are done on time, and while we still have summer. Hey guys, welcome to Silver Lake. Today I want to do a really important video, at least for me. How what's the position of the brood, the bees going into winter. As we all know, beekeeping year does not start by calendar year. There's nothing to do with January or other months. Beekeeping year, at least for us, we're keeping bees in colder climates, so we want them to prepare really good for winter. It starts early August or late July. So the way I keep my bees is I have one box as my primary brood chamber, and after that box I have the queen excluder and then I do honey super, as you can see on this hive. So this is just a main hive with all the brood, and I have queen excluder, and all this is honey. So the first week of August, what I do is I remove everything above this second box. So this is all gonna be honey for us, and this is full of capped honey. So this is gonna be a wintering food for our bees. I'm not feeding any sugar or anything. I leave them enough honey, because the honey is the best food that they will survive the winter on. So no sugar syrup or nothing. So I'll just make sure that I leave them enough food for them. But what's really important is not just leaving enough food, is proper placement of food. So let's say there's no queen excluder. See, the reason why, one of the reasons I do queen excluders is if there's no queen excluder, and queen can go like freely wherever she wants and lay like any frame, so you'll have brood all over. And I want to have brood in the, after I remove the honey, I want to have the brood in the bottom box. And why is that? So the reason why I want to have brood in the bottom box is because of robbing. Robbing is a huge problem, and as soon as you remove the honey and collect the honey, it's going to be in dirt, and bees will look for any source of honey. So if you have brood in the top box and this bottom box is full of honey, guess what's going to happen? Other bees from other hives are going to come and rob this honey. Or yellow jackets, if the nights are starting to get colder, bees not flying, yellow jackets can tolerate colder weather, and they're going to come in and steal all this honey from the bottom box. So it makes a lot easier to have queen excluder, because you know all this is brood and all this is honey. So after I collect all this, after we collect all this honey for us and leave these two boxes, so this will be all brood and this will be all honey. So it's going to look something like this. So this is going to be all honey with some honey and pollen. So this is going to be all honey with some honey and pollen, and there's going to be a queen excluder, and this is all going to be brood, and this is all going to be brood. So we'll have this just empty frames, but I'm just showing you. So let's say we have 8 frames of brood. So let's say we have 8 frames of brood. So in this case, if we have 8 frames of brood, I would do a couple of frames that have honey and pollen on the side. Honey and pollen on the side. So 8 frames of brood. This is the configuration of the bottom box. So if I have 5+ frames of brood, I would do 6, 7, 8, 9, or even 10 frames. I would put all brood on the bottom box. Remove the queen excluder, and then what's really important, the top box. So this top box will be full of honey. So all 10 frames will be full of honey. So what I would do is I would leave 6 frames of honey. 6 frames. 6, 7, 8 frames of brood on the bottom box. Remove the queen excluder right away and have 6 frames of honey in the middle. On the last, like 2 on each side, I'll have a space for drawn foundation, and I will put 2 drawn foundation on each side, so 4 total frames. Why is because in the fall they're gonna collect more honey for them, and this will be all full. So later all this brood, you know, like in October, what they're gonna do is they're gonna remove the honey from the middle of the top box and cluster right in the middle and have all this honey on top of them, on top of their heads. Okay, so we have to monitor these last 4 frames. When you remove it, when you extract honey, don't use those frames. Just leave them in storage if you need it. So if there's no fall nectar, then you can add those last 4 frames. If they make a lot of, you know, if there's really good nectar flow in the fall, let's say goldenrod or whatever, then you can, if they cap it, you can remove it and put another one, or you can put 2 or whatever. So your goal is for them to have enough. Even these 6 full frames of honey is going to be enough, but they're going to collect these other 4 and have enough for the winter. Your goal is for them to cluster kind of in between the boxes. So what happens if you don't have 7, 8 or more frames of brood? If I have less, 5 or less, then what I do is I overwinter in singles. So I use honey on the side and then have those 5 frames in the middle and 5 frames on the side, and I put double screen board and I overwinter them on top of my regular double hives. So if they're smaller cluster, it may be a good queen, but smaller cluster, not enough brood, I would just winter them in singles instead of having all this extra space on the second box. So 8 frames of brood, couple on the honey on the sides, and then 6 frames capped honey, like full frames, and then 4 on the side, so they will collect fall. And keep an eye on these last 4 frames if they're bringing in. If not, you can put it back, these 4 that you removed. Another really important thing is to watch for is varroa mites. As soon as you remove the honey, take care of that problem and reduce the entrances of your hives, small openings, so they can the bees can defend, you know, their nests, because there's going to be a lot of robbing, you know, right after the flow ends. They're going to look for, especially if you have a lot of hives. So this way they can defend themselves a lot better if they're down in the bottom box. We're approaching end of October, and in today's video I want to show you how your bees should look like going into winter. Usually this time of the year I don't disturb the bees, I don't open them, I don't, you know, check on them or nothing. Just what I do is take a peek above, and I just open few hives to see how does the brood situation look like and the proper placements of food. The purpose of this video, I will open the hive and show you how much brood do they have and what's the food situation, and to show you that you don't need to feed them all this sugar, you know, and leave it. Some beekeepers call it as insurance. Later that brood nest is going to become a winter cluster with all honey surrounding on all sides. So in this example I'm going to show you how I like to prepare them for the winter, and to show you exactly how they should look going into November and especially in December. What we have left to do is when I close them in September, I don't touch them till February. I open in February to see if they used all their honey on top, like their honey domes. If they do, then I put a winter patty, and if they're okay, I just don't do nothing till April. So usually if you do all those things on time, bees cluster properly when they're supposed to cluster, and they have enough food, they're treated for mites, you're pretty much good to go, you know, as far as winter. You never know, you know, they can still die, but that's what I do. I tried my best to help them survive the winter. I hope you like this video. Okay, from what I can see from here, so as soon as I opened the hive, I can see they're really calm. They're not on top of the frames, which means they have a lot of food and good honey domes. And they also created this wax on top of their frames, so they can cross between the frames. So I never remove, and this time of the year, this wax, this bird comb that they build on top of the frames, I leave that. And they also built this bird comb between the top of the bottom box and bottom of the top box, so they cross from this frame in the bottom box, so they cross with this bird comb, they cross on top of top frame, because they occupy kind of like, they should have a winter cluster between the two boxes. So let's see, so what I usually do, I don't like to open hives this time of the year. I treat them and make sure they have enough food, and I just close them and leave them be. You know, I leave them alone till February, when I check if they have enough food. But when you look on the side, if you don't want to open the hives, you can see capped honey in every single frame. And they propolize this too, you know. And I'm breaking this bird comb between the boxes, and you know, I don't want to do that either. But just for demonstration, you know, I wanted to make a video to show you how they look like now. I usually don't do this. I don't open them. And also there's a robbing this time of the year, so we reduce their entrances so they can fight and protect all this honey, because other bees from other hives will try to steal, you know, every single drop. So as you can see, they have a lot of food stored for the winter. I didn't feed any of my hives, and I'm not planning to put mountain cap sugar, you know, on top of them or nothing. Their natural food is honey, you know, and they have plenty of honey stored. You just do everything on time, and that's the way to make sure they overwinter. Why would I spend extra money and buy all this sugar and feed them that? Because I mean, why would I waste money, and why would I want them to encourage them to rear brood, you know, a lot of brood? I want them to reduce. So as you can see, they're creating cluster right where I want them, right between the boxes, and there's still just a little bit brood. You can see right there, there's a bee coming out, emerging right now. There's a new bee, and there's one right there that's emerging. And on this side too, you can see there's just a little bit of brood, and they filling that with nectar. And they have huge, nice honey domes. So the cluster is right here, and a little bit in the bottom box too. And whenever they move, there's no starvation, you know. I think if they move on this side, they'll hit honey. If they move this side, they'll hit honey. And of course, they have honey above their heads. So whenever they move, they're, you know, good to go. So, but you have to do everything on time. Now it's kind of late, you know. They have to store everything, and see, you can see right in this frame, there's a small amount of brood, and then capped honey all around it. This hive is really prepared for the winter. It's a really good queen. She knows what she's doing. So reducing and almost eliminating the cluster and having these huge honey domes and clustering just between the, as you can see, there's just a small patch of brood right now. Okay. I don't want them to have a lot of brood. I want them to reduce, you know, brood laying. You can see these frames are full. I don't want huge numbers of bees going into winter. Really, really nice hive. And all these rest of the frames are full and capped and ready for winter. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, why would you put like a sugar on top of their heads? You know, I see in a lot of beekeepers, they say it's for insurance. They put on it, all of their hives, they put newspaper and dry sugar, or you know, they make sugar bricks. But why? I mean, if you do everything right and they're prepared, I mean, there's no need for it. Look at all this honey. There's no way they're gonna have they don't have enough honey, you know. And the best food and best isolation, everything is their own honey, not sugar. See, this one on the bottom is left on 9 frames. That's why we have this last frame looking like this. But I mean, I would say wonderful hive and good queen. She reduced the cluster. She reduced the brood with really small few patches of brood on 3 frames. All rest of the hive is food and heavy frames. Heavy frames full of food. So this is how your bees should look like right now, you know, by the end of October. It is mid-November and we are doing the final touches of the preparation for the wintering of our bees. Right now what we're preparing to apply oxalic acid, because our bees are broodless at this time. The reason why our bees are broodless, I don't encourage a queen to lay at this time, so I don't give her sugar syrup. Like a lot of beekeepers feed their bees sugar syrup in the early fall. If you do that, I would encourage to do that in August and September, and then finish everything by October, because you don't want your queen lay into the late fall and have brood at this time. I make sure that all my hives have enough honey and properly placed honey around their clusters. One of the traits that I look in my queen rearing operation is that she's not brooding a lot in this time of the year, and she does a lot of brood in early spring. Another thing that a lot of beekeepers do is wrap their hives. I only wrap the hives that have boxes that are damaged and have holes that creates a draft inside the hive. But usually if I have good boxes, I don't wrap the hives. Another thing is upper entrance. I don't provide upper entrance for the bees. I have closed system with only entrance right here, and I close all the other entrances. I always run solid bottom board with 2 hives next to each other that provide wind block. The whole hive is kind of closed system. On the bottom is the solid bottom board with 2 hives next to each other. Usually when I like bees to cluster, kind of like a little bit in the top box, and then on the bottom with honey on all around the sides, and mostly on the top because the bees move up. If they usually, when I start feeding in late February is when I check the hives if they're a little light. Then I have these shims. On top, I don't do inner cover. I do this Reflentix foil, and then I run this little shim so I can feed if necessary in February. And I have 2-inch insulation. You have to have this insulation in order to prevent moisture, because this closed system provides for me a lot better wintering, and I like this system a lot better than having draft and moisture, inside a hive when you have hot air inside and cold air outside. So this creates a really good seal, and you can see bees are active. It's still, we have nice weather. Next week cold temperatures are coming. It is really important in a month of November to provide quiet and peace in your apiary without disturbing the bees. I don't open the hives anymore. I don't knock on them. I don't do nothing. The bees are getting ready and clustering for their wintering configuration, and any extra work and disturbance is gonna only create problems for them. So I don't disturb them at all. Another thing to watch for is birds. So birds can also be really annoying and disturb the bees. Also put mouse guard, some kind of mouse guard. If you don't put this, yeah, you can have a lot of problems because the bees will cluster, and then when it's cold weather, mouse will move in and create disaster inside your hive. So have some kind of mouse guard. So I have all hives are raised off the ground, so I don't like to have hives directly on the ground, and it's really a lot accessible. And with this system, you have to pay attention. There's heavy snow and ice if it collects ants, because ants, you have to come with, I have some a brush that I made myself, and I kind of scoop that bees inside and always clean the entrance, because carbon monoxide is not a problem for your bees, and cold is not problem. Is a moisture and these fluctuations in temperatures. I like to have really cold winters, and with steady temperatures instead of these warm and cold when they move a lot and they use a lot more food. Especially if you wrap the hives, they would, soon as the sun, you have a little bit of sun and warmer temperature, they would eat a lot, move a lot more and eat a lot more food than instead of when you have them not wrapped. What to pay attention this time of the year is to get a final varroa treatment. I use oxalic acid. You can do dribble method, or you can use a vape to watch the ventilation of your hive because of fluctuation in temperatures. There's could be a lot of moisture in the hive. If your hives are light on food, to use emergency food. The best food to use is honey, of course, on top of the frames. But if you don't have honey, then you can create winter patties. I have a recipe for winter patty, but I will also show you this year, how to make winter patties. If you wrap your hives, now is the time to wrap the hives and use some kind of insulation, especially on the top. to put mouse guards. That's really important, so the mice don't move in, and to have a wind block, something from the back of the hives from the north, to prevent the winds entering your hives. So basically, bees need to be left alone, and so they can prepare for the wintering, for the cold weather that's coming. Thank you all for watching. Well, guys, what you see is green grass in the last week of 2023. It's the week after Christmas. We have a few days till New Year's, and we have this wonderful, like 50s weather in Iowa. I came in Iowa in 1996 and started beekeeping in 2010, and I've never seen a year like this, that we have 60s in December and no snow. It's very warm, and I don't know what's going on, but definitely I'm not used to this nice weather. So what that means for bees, it means that they are moving a lot more. They're not clustered, they're flying, and with that they're using a lot more food. So what I'm gonna do today is gonna make some winter patties for our bees, and I'm gonna check the hives, and the hives that are, you know, check on the back of the hive if the hive feels pretty light, and if there's bees boiling on top of the frames, it usually means that bees have consumed their honey domes that are on top of their heads, and now they need a little our help. This time of the year I make winter patty, and we make it with powdered sugar. It's a lot more, I think that it's a lot more easier for the bees to use powdered sugar, and we grind our own to avoid using cornstarch. You can see if you feed regular sugar, or you know, like a mountain cup method, or it's like if you make patties with regular sugar, they're like a wet sand, and bees are taking it out of the hive. You'll see on the entrance a lot like sugar that's been wasted. But with powdered sugar, they use every little bit. So that's why I like grinding it before making it into patties. This patty also consists of 20% of honey, a little bit of like 1 ml per pound of honeybee healthy. We make our own, and I made a video, you can check that out, the recipe for that. And if the bees are flying, I use 1 ml per pound of nosevit. It's to prevent nosema. Is all natural plant extract from Croatia, from the my neighboring country when I was born. And also I use citric acid in our patties. As you can see, bees are flying, doing their cleansing flights. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make patties for those lighter hives, and hives on the bees on top of the frames, and we're gonna clean bottom boards, take the mouse guards off and clean, because we only have one entrance on their landing boards, and we don't use top entrance. That's the reason I have to clean once in a while, especially after the snowstorm. have to clean the entrances. Okay, so to prepare this batch, we already have grinded sugar, and we're putting some crystallized honey. So this particular batch, we're making 25 pounds of powdered sugar and 20% of honey. So that's 5 pounds of honey, and we use 1 mil per pound, or 25 mils for this batch of honeybee healthy. Uh, and then we use this mixer to mix everything well to get the consistency of the Play-Doh. Uh, if you've seen in our previous videos that we had mixer, there was 20 quart for like bakeries, and it didn't quite work well as this one. I like this one really a lot. This is 30 quart, and it mixes the patties a lot better than one with a round bowl, with the straight round bowl. This one is horizontal, and it works a lot better than our previous one. After everything is mixed, then we use something to make it thinner and fits under either inner cover or shims that we have. Our shims are not very wide; they're maybe 3/4 inch. So we're spreading the patty to fit under our lids. Okay, so this is the patties. You can see you can put it under, really shallow lids. You don't need extra thick lid with these kind of patties. 2.5 to 3 pounds of patty in this 1 gallon zip bag. Consistency of the patty is like a Play-Doh. I do have some. I made some, so just you can see from regular sugar, and you can see it's like a wet sand, and this can go between your frames, and bees don't like they will remove a lot of this patty, but this one they will actually eat all of it. So how do I place it in the hive is I take utility knife and cut 3 channels. So 1, 2, 3 channels, and then I remove these strips, and bees will go inside and eat the patty. See, the strips are going this way, and you want to do the opposite side of, if the frames are going this in the box, you put it opposite way. So the strips are kind of like, if the frames are like this, the strips are going like this. And bees love this, so they will. This is just the extra insurance. So basically what I do is lift the back of the hive and feel for the weight. If it feels a little light, you get the feeling, you know, since you've been doing this for a while, you know what hives feel light. If they feel light, I add patty no matter what. But if they feel pretty heavy, but I see bees are boiling on top of the frames, I add a patty just for insurance. Okay, so I want to show you the sample of a hive that bees, I like to call them, boiling on top of the frames. That usually means that they have used their honey domes, and you know, they're on top of the frames looking for food, and when it gets colder they go down and they can die, you know, of starvation. So in hives like this, I like to put patty on top of them. I usually don't put winter patties on. I leave them enough food, and I properly place frames and make sure that they have food on top of their heads and on the sides, so whenever the cluster move, there's food. And when, like, we always have really cold winters, so there's no need to put this winter patty on if we have cold winter and they have enough food. We don't have to touch our bees till late February. That's when I add my first patty. But in extreme temperatures like we have this year, I just want to create that additional insurance, and just to make sure, I want to put with this emergency feed on all the hives that feel light or have bees boiling on top of the frames. Yeah, I consider bees as any other pets or animals that we take care of. So same like if you would not like to see your dog, cat, or goats, or whatever animals you have starve, I think it's shame if your bees starve during the winter. So most of the time, is we admit it or not, if our bees die, it's our fault. It's either they die from viruses created from varroa mites, they starve, or moisture, whatever kills them, it's our own fault. But some of the reasons, like starvation, is preventable. Why not, you know, prevent something if we can? So usually, you know, we don't have to intervene, but if we have extreme temperatures like this, you know, they're moving a lot, using a lot of food, why not add extra insurance? Okay, let's see what's the situation in this hive. Yeah, we can see the bees are on top of the frames, so we're gonna add the patties. So our channels are cut this way, 3 channels, so we're gonna put it like this. Okay, and we have a shim that goes on top of the patty, and you can see there's no extra, you know, it's really nice close fit. I use 1x2 shims on these boards, and then I have 2-inch insulation on top of the lids, top of our shims. Okay, so they're I'm gonna leave them alone till February like this. They have extra food. They have been treated for mites. I use wind barrier because this hive, these boxes were pretty old and have holes in them. So this is not, doesn't have any insulation value. It's only for windbreak and draft, the holes in my boxes. So these particular hives are not, you know, two next to each other like usual setup that I have. They're on 2 cement blocks, and I have I use the strap, on the with blocks. Okay. Okay, this hive is done. We did all that's in our power to make sure this hive survives the winter. We removed honey on time, treated for mites on time, treated for mites again in December, put a mouse guard, put a wind block, strapped the hive so it doesn't tip over, and finally today I put some emergency feed on the hive. So that's all we can do. Hope, you know, they survive the winter. Another sample of the hive that doesn't need our help. As you can see, bees are inside the frames. They're not on top of the frames. And I can see a lot of capped honey, a lot of food. We don't want to disturb these guys too much, but just to show you, why would you feed these guys, put the sugar on top of their heads with no need? I mean, right now they're disturbed a little bit, but there's no need to add anything else to these guys. They are in August they're taken care of, and now they're gonna be left alone for 7 months. So till end of, like last week of February, I'm not gonna open or touch these guys. You can see the frames are full, properly placed food, because not only that you need food, you know, but you need proper placement of the food too. Hi guys, it's December 22nd. It's like -2 Fahrenheit. We had blizzard last night. Just checking my bees. The entrances are blocked. It is very, very cold. So one of the disadvantages of running only a single entrance on the bottom of the hive is you have to go out and clean it every time you have snow. So we're gonna check. You want to clean the entrance because next few days we're gonna have some nice 40+ weather, and bees need to go out and do a cleansing flight because they don't do that inside the hive. So we gotta clean every one of these entrances because they don't have upper hole to, you know, to use. So we have to clean the bottom one. Just clean with the brush. I brush the snow off. I don't remove any top, snow on the top or on the side. That's really good isolation from them. But I have to remove the entrance. And then clean the dead bees. And then put the mice wire to prevent mice from coming in. And I have to do that in every hive. you can see, I don't wrap my hive. I only have one entrance and insulation on top of the hives. Okay guys, I have four more hives to do. I've done the hives by my house. I've done over there, and I have some hives across the hill, and those hives over there. So I only have left a few hives here. It's really cold. So we're expecting, in a couple of days, we are expecting temperatures to go back 40 degrees, which means bees are going to do their cleansing flight, and I have to open their entrance, because sometimes the entrance is blocked by the dead bees, and if it's covered by snow, they don't stand a chance if they don't go out, because they don't poop inside the hive, so they have to go out. So it doesn't matter what temperature it is and what, how cold it is. After the big snowstorm, I have to remove these entrances. Well, is this beautiful or what? We had a snowstorm last night, and checking my bees. As you know, I'm running the only one bottom entrance, and when we have snowstorm, I have to clean it. They don't have upper entrance. I don't have to, they can be okay for a few days, but after every storm I like to clean the snow, and especially if there's warmer weather and they are able to go out and do their cleansing flights. But I mean, I just want to show you how beautiful this is. I don't know about you, but I find snow something magical about it. It reminds me of my childhood and skiing and all the winter things that we did as kids. I know some people don't like the snow, but I don't think I'll be able to live without it, to have winter without the snow, especially when it's this beautiful. I don't know if my bees would agree with me. They like it when it's nice and warm and sunny, and my wife too. But I love the snow. So what we do right now is kind of keep an eye on bees. So what beekeepers do in January? Not a whole lot. Just check on bees, check their entrances, especially after the major snowstorm or blizzard. See if if there's been a wind, something's like the lids are knocked out of the hive, or pretty much you can check with like thermal cameras if you have one, or to find out if they're alive. You can knock a little bit and put your ear or stethoscope on the hive, and you can hear the buzzing. But pretty much they want to be left alone, during January. It's not very advisable to do anything with the hives. Just check the entrances, and when the weather is a little bit better, then you can kind of lift the back of the hive and see if they're heavy enough. If not, brood is starting pretty soon, so they're gonna use a lot more food stores than they used to in these previous months. So right now is like, especially beginning of February and mid-February, is really a time to pay close attention to the food stores and see if they have enough, and if they don't, then probably add like a winter patty, or after mid-February then I start with my pollen patties when the brood really starts kicking in, because they need that to feed the brood. So I'm going kind of around and checking the hives, see what's going on. We have different configurations and different placement, southeast, east. They have 3 lakes around, plenty of water close by, and this is all CRP pollinator habitat. They have a lot of food, and also around me there's hundreds and thousands of acres of pasture and CRP, so they're doing pretty good here in this location. See, there's nothing to do here, just kind of keep an eye on the man. Just take a look at this. I wish I can describe it more, but this is just like a fairy tale to me. I don't know if the video is gonna do any justice, but in person, live, it's amazing. And it's still snowing a little bit. Oh, there's an eagle right there. But so this time of the year, just kind of you can check by like thermal cameras, knocking on the hive a little bit and then listening to the buzz. Watch for entrances, like it's very important to have mouse guards. If the mouse move in, that hive is pretty much done. And they need a little bit, especially when the brood starts, a little bit of more insulation, because they're gonna feed that larva, and it's gonna be more moisture in the hive. So these guys are okay. So you can watch like for dead bees in the front, but we had storm last night and there's no bees. Have been pretty cold, so there's no dead bees, but if there's warmer weather, they'll be all over here. It's like very weak sun. No, it's not good to disturb the bees, but I just want to show you just a little bit of peek inside. Here the girls are. Hi, girls. So not gonna disturb them. Just a quick peek. And yeah, you don't want to disturb them or open the hives or anything like that right now, especially when it's like under 40 degrees. thermal cameras, and I'm gonna discuss some of the main reasons why bees die during the winter time. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and help our channel grow and help put these videos in front of other new beekeepers. Hi guys, it's the last week of January. We had a pretty big snowstorm last night, between 5 and 7 inches of snow. So I'm going to clean the bottom boards, the entrances for the bees. Today I want to talk about why bees die in the winter. I think most of the time, more than 90%, is because of the beekeeper's fault, beekeeper's error, like not leaving enough food, or not treating for mites, or creating environment that's not good for bees, like moisture. Number one reason I think that bees die is because of the mites, not treating for mites. Okay, let's pause it here a little bit, guys. So I can't stress enough how important it is to take care of the mite problems in your beehives, especially for the beginners. I'm not a treatment-free beekeeper, and I don't suggest any of the new beekeepers to get into treatment-free beekeeping before they know what they're doing, and before it's a long process, and definitely you're gonna lose a lot of hives if you go treatment-free. So in our area, we start with treating for mites in the beginning of August, and before the reason for that is we want to finish the first round of treatments before the winter bees are born. We don't want to treat our winter bees. That can be a little different for your area, depending how far north or south you live. We live in Midwest in Iowa, and first week of August is when we start with the treatments. Varroa mites feed off the fat of the winter bees, and by doing so, they can transmit different diseases and viruses to your colony and kill your bees over the winter. Another great time to treat your bees is the last treatment of the year. Doing oxalic acid in our area is in the first week of December or last week November, because the mites, they don't have nowhere to hide. They're going to be exposed to your treatments. There's no brood where they can hide and escape your treatment. The second really important thing is starvation. Starvation is another common reason why bees die during the winter. It usually happens last days of the winter or early spring. So bees die because they don't have enough food reserves stored, or too much is taken away from them, or if they have enough food but it's not properly placed above their clusters. One way to check if they have enough food is to lift back of your beehive and check the weight. Is it heavy or light? And prevent starvation. You can use a backup feeding methods that include use of like fondant, mountain camp sugar method, or winter candy boards. So another really important thing, like I said, is moisture, especially when the brood starts. Bees have excess moisture, and that moisture kind of needs to either vent out or absorbed. So what I do is I provide extra insulation on top of the hives, so there's no condensation that drips on the bees. As you can see, I don't wrap my hives. My bees are survivors, you know. I only insulate the top, so that way there's no moisture dripping on them. Another reason why bees die is not good stock for the area you live in. A lot of people, they say that it doesn't matter where you get your bees from, or if your package or your nukes come from the southern state and here they will adapt. I don't think that's true. I think the survival stock bees that survive these harsh winters are gonna do a lot better for you than bees that come from the southern states. That's just my belief. If you can't get our winter stock, winter hardy bees, at least get requeen them with the good queens that are winter hardy and that they can survive this brutal winter. So it's not the same. So another reason why bees die is these temperature fluctuations. If we have really cold nights and then we have warm day, so they fly a little bit and then it gets cold again. So they can break the cluster, and it's called isolation starvation. When they move on one side or another, break the cluster. So that's another reason. When we talk about the food placement and the cluster size, reason why bees die is not having enough bigger cluster, having too small of the cluster, like weak hives coming into winter. To have large number of bees with big clusters going into, if you don't have that, it'll be wise to combine the hives. Bees also need some kind of wind block from behind. High winds can also kill your bees during the winter, so they need something from the back, and then the clear path on the front. So another reason the bees die is not installing the mouse guards on the bees, some kind of wire mesh or something to prevent mice going in. Sometimes I forget and mice move in and it's a disaster. So guys, there are many reasons why bees die. Sometimes it's our fault, or most of the time is the fault of the beekeeper, and sometimes do everything right, things happen and bees die. So to make sure, like the most important ones, like food, to leave them enough food and properly placed food above their heads, above the cluster, to treat for mites, to watch for the moisture, to have good young queens, to have good breeding stock, especially if you live in the cold climates, to have stock that overwinters in your area, wherever you live. Hi guys, welcome to Silver Lake Honey Channel. It is February 8th. We finally have a nice day when bees can take the cleansing flight. Today is 43 degrees and bees are flying out and going to the bathroom outside because they don't do it inside their hive. So February, it's a really risky month, and like beginning now till the end of March is kind of critical for bees. So it'll be really important to check on them kind of every week, and lift the back of the hive and see if they have enough stores, and it's enough for them to go through this remaining winter time. You should check your entrances and see. You'll see the bees taking out the dead bees. It's so nice to see bees flying. If you see the dead bees on the front, that's a good sign. And if you still have snow, if you see the poop like in front of the hive, means they're taking the cleansing flights and everything is good in the hive. Okay guys, so what to do in February? Kind of the same what you did in January. Just monitor your hives, check your bees once a week, lift the back of the hive to see if they have enough food. If they don't, then put some kind of feed to them. What's the best feed is if you have honey, put a frame of honey. If not, then you can put some dry sugar or winter patty. So kind of check on them to see everything is okay. See if you have dead outs. You should take your equipment inside, repair the equipment, paint, and prepare for the next season. For the new beekeepers, now it's good time to order new equipment, assemble it, or if you buy already assembled and painted, to think about where you should place them. Order your bees, put the deposits on, especially if you are going with nukes, so make sure you have your deposit in. And also don't forget to learn, educate yourself as much as you can. Read, take classes, attend local bee clubs, take a lesson like there's great teachers, I'm sure in your local area where you can take intro to beekeeping or advanced beekeeping classes. You need basic knowledge before you start. Bees will teach you every day. So every time you go visit your bees, they'll teach you something new. I promise you that. So guys, I'm getting excited. I'm really getting excited. this nice weather. February can be frustrating in days like this. When you check them, they are nice and flying, and we have that temperature fluctuations, and your beehive or your bees might die. So keep a close eye on them, and hopefully pretty soon, you know, the dandelions will start popping and everything's gonna be great. So take care, guys.